Hey folks, welcome back to Stoic Relationships. Let's get real for a second. How often have you felt like you're giving everything in a relationship, only to be left feeling unseen, unheard, or misunderstood? It's frustrating, isn't it? You bend over backward, trying to connect, trying to make things work, but instead of feeling closer, you feel like you're hitting a wall. And the worst part? It leaves you questioning yourself. What am I doing wrong? Why does it feel so hard to get through? You're not alone in this. Relationships can be one of life's greatest joys, but they can also feel like an endless maze, full of emotional pitfalls and unspoken expectations. The truth is, no one hands us a guidebook on how to navigate the complexities of human emotions. We're left figuring it out as we go, often learning through trial, error, and let's be honest, a lot of heartache. But here's the thing. Understanding the emotional patterns and vulnerabilities in relationships doesn't have to feel like guesswork. Today, we're diving into something that could transform the way you approach these dynamics. This isn't about playing games or manipulating anyone. It's about gaining awareness, about understanding the subtle drivers behind someone's behavior, so you can foster connection, trust, and balance. Let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed how some people are deeply affected by a need for validation? Or how being misunderstood can cause frustration to bubble up in ways that seem disproportionate? Maybe you've seen how the desire for security influences decision-making, or how overwhelming emotions can leave someone feeling stuck. These aren't just random quirks. They're deeply rooted emotional patterns that, once understood, can unlock a whole new level of connection. In this video, we'll explore 7 emotional tendencies, what some might call weaknesses, that often show up in relationships. But let's reframe weakness for a moment. These aren't flaws to exploit. They're human truths to understand. By recognizing these patterns, you not only improve your relationships, but also gain insight into your own emotional responses and how they shape your interactions. For example, one of the most significant emotional drivers is validation, the desire to feel seen and valued. When someone doesn't receive that, it can lead to emotional vulnerability or even resentment. On the flip side, understanding this need and responding with empathy can create a bond that feels unshakable. We'll also talk about why confidence is so attractive and why trying to control someone often backfires. And let's not forget the impact of indecision, or the double-edged sword of needing connection. It's all interconnected. Here's where Stoic philosophy comes in. The Stoics teach us the importance of understanding what's within our control and what isn't. When you focus on what you can change, your perceptions, your actions, and your understanding, you create a foundation of strength and clarity. Relationships, like anything else in life, thrive when built on wisdom and intention. But this isn't just about them. It's about you, too. How do your own emotional patterns influence the dynamic? Are you unknowingly contributing to the very challenges you're trying to overcome? Self-awareness is the first step toward transforming any relationship. And that's exactly what we're here to explore. By the end of this video, you'll have a deeper understanding of the emotional drivers that influence behavior and the tools to navigate them with empathy and confidence. This isn't just information, it's empowerment. So, if you've ever felt stuck, frustrated, or unsure about how to handle the emotional complexities of your relationships, stick around. This conversation is for you. Stay with me, Stoic friends. Today's discussion is packed with insights that could completely change the way you approach emotional dynamics. Let's dive in and uncover the keys to creating stronger, more balanced relationships. All right, let's get started. Number 1. Emotional validation is her greatest weakness. Hey folks, let's dive into a truth that's central to understanding emotional dynamics: the need for validation. It's not just a want. For many women, it's a deep-seated emotional driver. When someone truly sees her, acknowledges her feelings, and validates her experiences, it creates a bond that feels unbreakable. But here's the catch. This need for validation, when misunderstood or mishandled, can become a significant vulnerability. Think about it. Validation isn't about flattery or empty compliments. It's about creating a space where someone feels safe to express themselves without judgment. For many women, emotional validation can feel like the foundation of trust and connection. If it's missing, frustration and misunderstandings can quickly take its place. On the flip side, when someone is skilled at providing genuine validation, it can become a powerful tool for building closeness and influence. Now, let's break this down. Why is emotional validation so important? It starts with biology and psychology. Humans are wired for connection, and feeling understood taps into a sense of belonging. For women, this need is often more pronounced because societal norms have long placed an emphasis on emotional expression and connection. When someone feels heard, they're more likely to open up, trust, and invest emotionally. But if they sense indifference or dismissal, it can trigger insecurities and create emotional distance. Here's where things can get tricky. The desire for validation can sometimes lead to over-reliance on external approval. When someone depends too heavily on others to affirm their worth or decisions, it creates an imbalance. This can make them more vulnerable to emotional manipulation, where validation is given or withheld as a means of control. For example, if someone only feels valued when receiving constant compliments or reassurance, it can create a dynamic where they're chasing approval instead of finding confidence within themselves. So, how can you approach this with wisdom and authenticity? Start by listening, really listening. Validation begins with understanding, and understanding starts with paying attention. When she shares her thoughts or feelings, don't rush to fix the problem or dismiss her concerns. Instead, acknowledge her perspective. A simple, "I can see why you feel that way," or "that must have been hard for you," goes a long way in showing that you're present and engaged. But remember, validation doesn't mean always agreeing. It's about empathy, not appeasement. You can validate someone's feelings without compromising your own boundaries or values. For instance, if she's upset about something you don't agree with, you can say, "I understand why this bothers you," without conceding to something you're uncomfortable with. This balance shows that you respect her emotions while staying true to yourself. Here's where Stoic philosophy comes in. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them." This wisdom reminds us that while validation is important, true strength comes from within. Encourage the people in your life to seek internal validation, not just external approval. When someone learns to validate themselves, they become less dependent on others for emotional stability, and their relationships grow stronger as a result. Let me give you an example. A friend of mine used to feel unseen in her relationships. She always sought reassurance, which left her vulnerable to people who would manipulate her need for validation. After learning to articulate her feelings and prioritize self-awareness, she found that she didn't need constant affirmation anymore. Instead, she attracted healthier, more balanced connections where validation was mutual, not one-sided. So, Stoic friends, as we wrap up this point, remember, emotional validation is a powerful tool when used wisely. It's not about manipulating someone's feelings, but about creating a space where they feel truly valued. When you approach this need with empathy and authenticity, you're not only strengthening the relationship, You're building a foundation of trust and respect. Drop this in the comments. I lead with empathy. Let me know your thoughts on emotional validation and how it's shaped your connections. And if this resonates with you, don't forget to hit subscribe. Let's continue growing together. Folks, there's so much more to explore. Number 2, she's obsessed with being understood. Hey folks, let's dive into something that runs deep in human nature, especially for women, the intense need to feel understood. This isn't just a passing desire. For many, it's an obsession that shapes their relationships, choices, and emotional responses. Feeling misunderstood can trigger frustration, sadness, and even a sense of alienation. But when someone feels truly understood, it's like unlocking a door to trust, connection, and emotional intimacy. Let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed how much effort someone puts into explaining their feelings or experiences when they think you don't quite get it? That drive to be understood is rooted in the desire for validation, acceptance, and connection. For many women, it's not just about being heard. It's about feeling like the other person really grasps the nuances of their emotions and thoughts. It's about feeling seen for who they are, not just the surface-level version they present to the world. Here's the thing. This need to be understood can be both a strength and a vulnerability. On the one hand, it encourages open communication and emotional honesty. But on the other, it can lead to over-explaining, overanalyzing, or even frustration when someone doesn't immediately connect with their perspective. This is where you have an opportunity to create a stronger bond by showing that you're willing to listen, empathize, and truly understand where they're coming from. Understanding someone doesn't mean agreeing with everything they say. It's about making them feel valued for their perspective. For instance, if she's sharing a frustration about her day, she's not necessarily looking for solutions. What she wants is to feel like her emotions are valid and that someone cares enough to acknowledge her experience. A simple response like, "That sounds really challenging. I can see why you're upset," can make all the difference. This need for understanding often stems from societal pressures. Women are frequently expected to balance countless roles, whether it's as a partner, professional, caregiver, or friend. These expectations can create an internal conflict, making it even more important for them to feel understood by the people closest to them. When you acknowledge this complexity, you create a space where she feels safe and valued. But here's the catch. The obsession with being understood can sometimes backfire. If someone becomes too fixated on trying to make others understand them, they might neglect to consider whether the other person is capable or willing to meet them halfway. This can lead to feelings of frustration or disappointment. As a result, helping her focus on self-understanding and acceptance can be incredibly empowering. When she learns to validate her own feelings and doesn't rely solely on external validation, she becomes more emotionally resilient. Stoic philosophy offers incredible insight here. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Listening is the cornerstone of understanding. When you give someone the space to express themselves fully, without interrupting or judging, you create an environment where they feel valued and seen. But remember, listening is only part of the equation. Reflecting back what you've heard shows that you're truly engaged. Let's break this down with an example. Imagine someone is venting about a problem they're facing. Instead of jumping in with advice or dismissing their feelings, you say, "It sounds like this situation is really weighing on you. I can see why you feel this way." That simple acknowledgement not only validates their experience, but also strengthens the connection between you. So, Stoic friend, here's the takeaway. Being understood isn't about solving someone's problems or agreeing with everything they say. It's about creating a space where they feel safe to be themselves, knowing that you're genuinely invested in their perspective. When you approach this with authenticity and empathy, you build trust and foster deeper, more meaningful relationships. Drop this in the comments. I listen to understand. Let me know how understanding others has improved your relationships. And if this resonates, don't forget to hit subscribe. Thanks for being here. Folks, let's keep growing together. Number 3. Confidence attracts, but control repels. Hey folks, let's talk about one of the most defining dynamics in relationships: the magnetic power of confidence versus the repelling force of control. If you've ever wondered why some people naturally draw others in while others push them away, this might just be the key you've been looking for. Confidence and control may seem similar on the surface, but in reality, they couldn't be more different. Confidence is an internal force. It's quiet, steady, and self-assured. It doesn't demand attention because it naturally commands it. When you're confident, you don't need to prove your worth to anyone. You carry yourself with an ease that tells the world, I know who I am, and I'm okay with that. This kind of energy is incredibly attractive because it creates a sense of stability and trust. People are drawn to those who exude confidence because it makes them feel secure and respected. On the other hand, control is rooted in insecurity. It's an attempt to force outcomes or manage how others perceive you, while confidence says, I trust myself and others to make their own choices. Control says, I don't trust, so I must manipulate. Well, this difference is crucial because while confidence invites collaboration and mutual respect, control often breeds resentment and resistance. Let's break this down further. Imagine you're in a relationship where you constantly feel the need to check on your partner's every move or micromanage how they do things. While your intentions might come from a place of care, it sends a message that you don't trust them. Over time, this behavior can create distance because no one likes to feel controlled. It chips away at the foundation of mutual respect and autonomy, which are essential for a healthy connection. Now, think about how different that scenario looks when approached with confidence. Instead of trying to control someone's actions, you focus on building a strong sense of self. You trust that your partner is capable of making decisions and that your connection is strong enough to weather challenges. This trust allows space for growth, individuality, and respect, making the relationship more fulfilling for both parties. Stoic philosophy beautifully supports this concept. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." This wisdom reminds us to let go of the urge to control others and instead focus on mastering our own thoughts and actions. When you embody this principle, you radiate confidence because you're not wasting energy on things outside your influence. Confidence also creates a sense of mystery and intrigue. When you're comfortable with yourself, you don't feel the need to over-explain or seek validation. This leaves room for others to be curious about you, which naturally draws them in. Control, however, has the opposite effect. It leaves no space for curiosity because it's often accompanied by over-communication or attempts to dictate every aspect of the relationship. Let's consider an example. A friend of mine used to struggle with control in her relationships. She felt the need to manage every detail, from how her partner spent their time to how they interacted with others. Over time, this led to conflict and frustration on both sides. After some reflection, she decided to shift her focus inward, building her confidence, pursuing her passions, and trusting the relationship. The change was remarkable. Not only did the dynamic improve, but her partner also began to step up and invest more in the connection. So, How can you embrace confidence and let go of control? Start by identifying areas where you might be holding on too tightly. Ask yourself, is this really within my control? Am I acting out of trust or fear? Then, shift your energy towards strengthening your sense of self. The more secure you feel in who you are, the less you'll feel the need to control others. Remember this, Stoic friends. Confidence is magnetic because it's rooted in authenticity and trust. It's about knowing your worth and respecting the worth of others. Control repels because it's driven by fear and a lack of trust. By choosing confidence, you're not just improving your relationships, you're creating a life that's rooted in balance, respect, and freedom. Drop this in the comments. I choose confidence. Let me know how embracing confidence over control has impacted your life. And if this resonates, hit subscribe. Thanks for being here. Folks, let's keep growing together. Number 4, her desire for security is a hidden driver. Hey folks, let's talk about something that often goes unnoticed, but drives so many decisions, emotions, and relationships. The deep-rooted desire for security. It's not always obvious, but the need to feel safe emotionally, physically, and even financially can shape how someone interacts with the world and the people around them. Understanding this hidden driver can help you build stronger, more meaningful connections. For many women, security isn't just a want, it's a fundamental need. Think about it. Security provides a sense of stability and predictability in an often chaotic world. It's what allows someone to open up, trust, and invest in a relationship. Without it, fear and uncertainty can creep in, creating tension and distance. But here's the nuance. This need for security can manifest in ways that aren't always easy to recognize. Emotional security, for instance, is about feeling valued, respected, and understood. It's knowing that you can express yourself without fear of judgment or rejection. When someone feels emotionally secure, they're more likely to be vulnerable and authentic, which deepens the connection. On the flip side, a lack of emotional security can lead to overthinking, second-guessing, or even withdrawal. Physical security, while often overlooked, is just as important. It's about feeling safe in one's environment and relationships. This doesn't just mean protection from harm, it's about being in spaces where someone feels supported and at ease. Imagine how exhausting it would be to constantly feel on edge or unsure of your surroundings. Providing a sense of physical security helps create a foundation where trust can thrive. Then there's financial security, which plays a significant role, especially in today's world. While it might not always be openly discussed, the stress of financial instability can weigh heavily on someone's emotional state. Feeling secure in this area doesn't mean extravagance. It's about knowing that basic needs are met and there's a plan for the future. Here's where the challenge comes in. The desire for security can sometimes create pressure in relationships. If one person is overly focused on providing or seeking security, it can lead to dependency or even resentment. That's why balance is key. Building a relationship where both parties contribute to a sense of security, not just financially, but emotionally and physically, creates mutual respect and a stronger connection. Stoic philosophy offers a unique perspective on this. Seneca said, "The greatest wealth is a poverty of desires." While security is important, it's equally crucial to recognize that true stability comes from within. External factors, like money or relationships, can contribute to security, but they can't be the sole source of it. Encouraging someone to cultivate inner stability and resilience helps them navigate life's uncertainties with grace and strength. Let me share an example A friend of mine once found herself in a relationship where she felt emotionally insecure. She constantly sought reassurance and validation, which created strain between her and her partner. Over time, she realized that while her partner could provide support, true emotional security had to come from within. By working on her self-esteem and setting boundaries, she not only strengthened her relationship, but also found a newfound sense of independence. So how can you support someone's need for security without creating dependency? Start by being consistent in your actions and words. Reliability goes a long way in building trust. Next, communicate openly about your intentions and expectations. Ambiguity can often lead to insecurity, so clarity is your best friend. Lastly, encourage self-growth. A relationship is strongest when both individuals feel secure in themselves as well as in each other. Let me leave you with this thought, Stoic friend. The desire for security isn't a weakness. It's a fundamental part of being human. But the key to a fulfilling relationship is understanding this need without letting it define the dynamic. When you balance providing support with fostering independence, you create a connection that's built to last. Drop this in the comments. I build with security. Let me know how understanding security has shaped your relationships. And if this message resonates, hit subscribe. Thanks for being here. Folks, let's keep growing stronger together. Number 5. She's overwhelmed by her own emotions. Hey folks, let's talk about emotions. The raw, unfiltered feelings that can shape how we see the world and how we connect with others. For many women, emotions can be like an overflowing river. At times, it's serene and beautiful, and at other times, it floods over, making it hard to keep everything in control. This emotional intensity is both a gift and a challenge. Have you ever seen someone who feels everything so deeply that it seems like the smallest shift can affect their entire day? This isn't about being too emotional or too sensitive. It's about having an emotional compass so finely tuned that even subtle changes in relationships, environments, or situations can create a ripple effect. Emotional overwhelm often comes from a place of caring deeply. When someone invests so much of their energy into their relationships, their work, or their goals, they're naturally more affected by setbacks or misunderstandings. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of engagement. The challenge is learning how to manage that emotional energy without letting it take over. Imagine this. A woman walks into a meeting and her contributions are dismissed without acknowledgement. While others might brush it off, she spends the rest of the day replaying the moment, questioning if she said something wrong or if she's simply not valued. This emotional spiral isn't about the event itself. It's about the emotional weight she places on being understood and respected. Recognizing this pattern is the first step toward breaking free from it. One powerful approach is to embrace the idea of self-compassion. Instead of letting emotions dictate actions, Stoic philosophy encourages us to create space between stimulus and response. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." For someone who feels overwhelmed, this means learning to pause, reflect, and regain control over their emotional narrative. But here's the thing. Emotional overwhelm doesn't always look the same. For some, it manifests as withdrawal, an attempt to hide from the flood. For others, it appears as heightened reactivity, where even small comments can feel like an attack. As a partner, friend, or colleague, your role isn't to fix these emotions, but to create an environment where they can process them without fear of judgment. Let's approach this with empathy. Instead of saying, "You're overreacting," try something like, "I can see that this means a lot to you. Let's talk it through. Ma, These words acknowledge their feelings without feeding the spiral. You're giving them space to be heard while helping them regain perspective. Now, here's where you can lead by example. Practice emotional regulation in your own life. When you remain calm and composed during stressful moments, you're showing them what it looks like to navigate emotions with strength. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings. It means understanding them, accepting them, and deciding how to respond in a way that aligns with your values. Finally, recognize that emotions aren't something to be fixed. They're part of what makes us human. For someone overwhelmed by their emotions, the goal isn't to feel less. It's to feel with purpose. Encourage them to channel their emotional intensity into something constructive, whether it's creative expression, personal growth, or meaningful conversations. Drop this in the comments. I honor emotions with strength. Let me know how you've navigated emotional overwhelm in your own life or supported someone else through it. And if today's discussion resonated with you, consider subscribing to join our growing community. Thanks for being here, Stoic friends. Let's keep building clarity and strength together. Number 6. Her need for connection can be a double-edged sword. Hey folks, let's explore a fascinating aspect of relationships, the innate need for connection. For many women, the desire to feel connected is at the core of their relationships. It's what drives meaningful conversations, builds emotional bonds, and fosters trust. But here's the twist. This need for connection, while beautiful and essential, can also be a double-edged sword. When misunderstood or imbalanced, it can lead to challenges that ripple through both personal and professional relationships. Let's start with the positive side of connection. The desire to connect isn't just about companionship. It's about being seen, valued, and understood. Connection provides a sense of belonging, reminding us that we're not alone in navigating life's complexities. For women, this often manifests as a deep investment in their relationships. They nurture, listen, and support because they genuinely care about the well-being of those around them. This kind of connection is what builds strong families, friendships, and teams. But as with any strength, when overextended, it can become a vulnerability. The need for connection can sometimes lead to overcompensation. In trying to maintain harmony or avoid conflict, some women might sacrifice their own needs, boundaries, or well-being. This can create an unhealthy dynamic where they give too much without receiving the same level of effort in return. Over time, this imbalance can lead to feelings of resentment, exhaustion, or even a loss of self-identity. Have you ever noticed how someone might struggle to say no because they fear it will disrupt the connection they've built? This fear can make them more susceptible to people-pleasing, overcommitment, or staying in relationships that no longer serve them. It's a tricky balance. How do you maintain meaningful connections without losing yourself in the process? The key lies in recognizing that connection starts within. When someone is secure in who they are, they're less likely to seek validation or approval from others to feel whole. Stoic philosophy beautifully reinforces this idea. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." When you're in control of your emotions and actions, you can approach relationships from a place of abundance rather than need. Let's break this down into actionable steps. First, encourage self-awareness, reflecting on questions like, why am I seeking this connection? Or am I giving too much at the expense of my own needs? Can provide clarity. Next, set boundaries. Healthy connections are built on mutual respect, and boundaries are a way to ensure that respect is upheld. Saying no doesn't mean rejecting someone. It means valuing yourself enough to prioritize your well-being. Another important point is to diversify sources of connection. Relying too heavily on one relationship for emotional fulfillment can put immense pressure on that connection. Building a strong support system of friends, family, and even hobbies or interests helps create a more balanced emotional foundation. Now, let's flip the script. If you're in a relationship with someone whose need for connection feels overwhelming, approach the situation with empathy. Instead of withdrawing or becoming defensive, communicate openly about how you can support each other in a way that feels balanced. For example, if someone is overly dependent on you for emotional support, encourage them to explore other outlets, such as therapy, journaling, or building friendships. A great way to nurture healthy connections is through quality time. It's not about the quantity of time spent together, but the intention behind it. A heartfelt conversation over coffee can be more meaningful than hours of distracted interactions. This reinforces the idea that connection thrives on presence and authenticity, not constant availability. As we wrap up this point, remember, Stoic friends, connection is one of life's greatest gifts, but it's most fulfilling when it's balanced. By understanding the double-edged nature of this need, you can foster relationships that uplift and empower both you and those around you. Drop this in the comments. I connect with balance. Let's hear how you've cultivated healthy connections in your life. And if today's insights resonate with you, hit that subscribe button to join our growing community. Thanks for tuning in. Folks, your journey towards stronger relationships starts here. Number 7. Indecision reveals her deepest fears. Hey folks, let's talk about indecision, something we've all encountered in others, or maybe even struggled with ourselves. It's easy to dismiss indecision as hesitation or a lack of clarity, but in reality, it often stems from something much deeper: fear. Yes, indecision isn't just about uncertainty. It's a window into someone's deepest insecurities and anxieties. When you learn to understand this, you unlock a new level of empathy and insight into their emotional world. At its core, indecision is often driven by fear of making the wrong choice. This fear can manifest in countless ways: fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of judgment, or even fear of success. For many women, societal expectations can amplify these fears. There's an unspoken pressure to get it right in every area of life, whether it's about relationships, career, or personal decisions. This creates a mental tug-of-war where every decision feels like a high-stakes gamble. Imagine this scenario. A woman is deciding whether to accept a new job offer. On the surface, it seems like a great opportunity, but underneath, she's wrestling with questions like, what if I'm not good enough? Or what if this decision disrupts my family life? The fear of regret or disappointing others can leave her paralyzed. This isn't indecisiveness born from apathy. It's a reflection of how deeply she cares about the potential consequences of her choice. Now, let's shift to relationships. Indecision can be especially revealing when it comes to matters of the heart. Someone might hesitate to commit to a relationship, not because they don't feel strongly, but because they're terrified of vulnerability. What if they open up and get hurt? What if the relationship doesn't work out, and they're left feeling like they've failed? These fears can create a cycle of hesitation that's hard to break. Stoic philosophy provides profound wisdom here. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In the context of indecision, this means understanding that while external outcomes are uncertain, we always have control over how we approach them. The act of making a decision, even if it's imperfect, is often more empowering than avoiding it altogether. If you're interacting with someone who struggles with indecision, the key is to respond with patience and support. Instead of rushing them to decide, help them unpack their fears. Ask open-ended questions like, what's the worst that could happen? Or what would make you feel more confident about this choice? These questions allow them to confront their anxieties in a constructive way, rather than letting fear dictate their actions. Let's explore a different angle. Sometimes, indecision arises not from fear, but from being overwhelmed by too many options. In today's world, we're often bombarded with choices, careers, relationships, lifestyles, and this abundance can lead to analysis paralysis. When faced with an overwhelming number of possibilities, it becomes harder to prioritize and commit. Helping someone narrow their focus or identify what truly matters can make decision-making more manageable. But here's the flip side. Indecision can also be a form of self-preservation. When someone avoids making a choice, they're protecting themselves from potential disappointment or failure. It's a defense mechanism, albeit one that often backfires. Over time, chronic indecision can lead to missed opportunities and feelings of stagnation. This is where encouragement plays a crucial role. Gently remind them that every decision is a step forward, even if the outcome isn't perfect. Self-reflection is another powerful tool for navigating indecision. Journaling, meditation, or simply taking quiet moments to think can help someone identify the root of their fears. Are they worried about external judgment? Are they afraid of making a choice that feels selfish? Once they understand what's holding them back, they can begin to move forward with greater confidence. Let's bring this back to Stoic principles. Epictetus said, "It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them." This wisdom encourages us to challenge the stories we tell ourselves about decisions. Instead of seeing a choice as a potential failure, we can reframe it as an opportunity for growth. After all, even mistakes teach us valuable lessons. Finally, let's talk about how you can model decision-making for someone struggling with indecision. When they see you approach choices with clarity and composure, it sends a powerful message. It's okay to act, even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. Your confidence can inspire them to trust their own judgment and take the leap. As we wrap up this point, Stoic friends, remember this. Indecision is often a sign of someone's deeper fears and vulnerabilities. By approaching it with empathy and understanding, you not only help them navigate their choices, but also strengthen your relationship. Every decision, no matter how small, is a chance to grow, learn, and move forward. Hey folks, we've reached the end of this journey together, and I just want to take a moment to say thank you. Reflecting on today's topic, it's clear that understanding human behavior isn't just about improving relationships with others. It's about deepening the relationship you have with yourself. By recognizing these dynamics, you're not only building stronger connections, but also reclaiming control over how you interact with the world. Remember, every insight you gain is a tool to help you navigate life with clarity and confidence. Whether it's embracing courage in the face of indecision, fostering meaningful connections, or practicing patience and empathy, these steps are all part of a greater journey toward personal growth and empowerment. If you found value in this conversation, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who might need these insights today. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button to join our growing community of Stoic-minded individuals striving for wisdom and strength in their relationships and beyond. Thank you for being here, Stoic friends. Take these lessons, apply them in your life, and let's continue growing together. Until next time, take care and stay strong.